Hello and assalamu alaikum to my YouTube family. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to discuss the early roots of psychology. So we are going to discuss what are the reasons for which psychology emerged as a separate discipline. The field of psychology emerged as a scientific discipline in the 19th century, but its roots go back to the ancient philosophy. It means that before the 19th century, psychology was the part of philosophy. It emerged as a separate and a scientific discipline in the 19th century. So, from approximately 600 to 300 BC, Greek philosophers explored a wide range of topics related to what we now consider psychology. Socrates and his followers, like Plato and Aristotle, wrote about such topics as pleasure, pain, knowledge, motivation, thinking processes, cognitive processes, behaviors. So, these are all the concepts that we study under psychology nowadays. But at that time, these are the concepts that were studied under philosophy course. So they theorize about whether human traits are innate or the product of experience, which continues to be a topic of debate in psychology today. It means they were confused at the time whether the traits, the characteristics of the person are innate or they are the result of its experience from the environment. And this is the debate till now, right? So according to these observations, according to these concepts, they think that psychology should be separated from philosophy, and it should be emerged as a separate course. Psychology was separated from philosophy mainly because people wanted to study the mind and behavior in a more scientific and systematic way, while philosophy is more concerned with understanding the abstract concepts and ideas. But psychology, on the other hand, it deals with the mind, with how the mind works and how behaviors are influenced. So that's the reason, that were the major reasons psychology got separated from the philosophy course. So philosophy often seeks to answer big questions like what is the existence of the human being, what is the reality and morality. So these are the broader concept which we study in philosophy, but psychology mainly focuses on the cognitive processes and the behavior, the mind and the body, the experiences of a person, right? So these are the major concepts we are going to study in psychology. So these were the reasons, these were the major reasons why psychology got separated from the course, from the philosophy course. So they also considered the origin of mental illness, with both Socrates and Plato focusing on psychological forces at the root of such illnesses. It means that they believe, Socrates and Plato, they believe that mental illnesses were not merely biological or environmental in nature, but were also influenced by inner psychological dynamics. So these illnesses were not only based on the environmental or biological things, but also they are based on the internal dynamics, which includes, you can say, emotions, thought patterns, conflicts within a mind. So these concepts like emotion, thought patterns, and conflicts were very important to study at the same time. So they considered factors such as unresolved conflicts, distorted perceptions, and disrupted emotion state as potential sources of mental disturbance, right? So that is why it was very crucial to study these concepts separately in psychology. So that is the reason why psychology emerged as a scientific discipline in the 19th century. Okay. There are two concepts, dualism and monism. These are the philosophical concepts of 17th century, right? So, René Descartes, a French mathematician and philosopher from 1600s, theorized that the body and mind are separate entities, a concept that came to be known as dualism. So, what is dualism? According to dualism, mind and body are separate entities. Mind is a spiritual entity, while body is a physical entity. According to dualism, the body is a physical entity while with scientifically measurable behavior. It means that all the processes within the body can be measured easily, right? We can observe them, we can feel them, we can measure them according to different devices or anything. We can measure them according to different scales, we can measure them. But the processes of mind are spiritual in nature, and they cannot be measured. They cannot be measured. How can a person measure that what is going in the mind of other person? It is not possible because we can't see that thing, we can't touch it, We can't feel it. So these are the processes that are totally spiritual in nature and they are not measurable. That is why, according to dualism, mind and body are two separate entities. But according to dualism, there's another thing that they are connected. They are connected to a tiny structure at the base of the brain called the pineal gland. So, according to this concept, although they are separate entities, but they are connected, interconnected through a structure called pineal gland. But according to the modern world, this concept is totally ignored or rejected as well, because there's no scientific proof behind that, right? It is only based on observations of that person. But in actual, there's no proof and there are no facts and logics behind this concept. Descartes believed that the pineal gland was suited for this role because it is located in the centers of both the hemispheres of the brain. So he thinks that as it's not the part of the right hemisphere as well as the left hemisphere, it is located between both of the hemispheres. So it is acting as a bridge between the two hemispheres. So similarly, it goes for the mind and body, is that it is not the part of either mind or it is not the part of body, but it is in between these two things, and it is a bridge between the body and the mind. And through this bridge, both the body, the spiritual aspect and the physical aspects of the person, both connect with each other. So this is a bridge. This acts as a bridge between body and mind, the spiritual aspect of the person and the physical aspect of the person. But this concept has been rejected according to the researchers, because it has not been proven till now. ठीक है. इसकी एक रीजन एक और ये भी है कि जो pineal gland है, that is not responsible for interaction among two different things, but it is responsible for production of hormone like melatonin, and in regulating the circadian rhythms. There is no scientific evidence to suggest that it serves as the exclusive site of interaction between the mind and body, as Descartes proved, right? So instead, modern neuroscience emphasizes the complex and distributed nature of brain function, with interactions occurring among various regions and networks throughout the brain. So this was all about dualism. So, what is monism? According to monism, as the name indicates, monism includes a single thing, and dualism includes two things, that are mind and body are two separate things. And according to monism, mind and body, they are not separate, they are single entity. It means that they work simultaneously, they work together. Without mind, there is no function of body, and without body, there is no function of mind. Thomas Hobbes and John Locke were English philosophers from the 17th century who disagreed with the concept of dualism. They argued that all human experiences are physical processes occurring within the brain and nervous system. Thus, their argument was the sensation, images, thoughts, and feelings are all valid subjects of the study. As this view holds that the mind and body are one and the same, it later became known as monism. It means that monism totally ignored the concept of dualism. It is opposite of dualism, that mind and body, they work together, they work simultaneously. Mind without body and body without mind, they are nothing, right? So there is a deep connectivity, and they have to function accordingly. So these are the two philosophical concepts of the 17th century: dualism and monism. Okay. Wilhelm Wundt, the first psychologist after the emergence of psychology as a separate and scientific course. The late 19th century marked the start of psychology as a scientific enterprise, psychology as a self-conscious field of experimental study, because after the emergence of this course, there was the first laboratory created by this specific psychologist, Wilhelm Wundt. He founded the first laboratory dedicated exclusively to the psychological research in Leipzig. It means after 19th century, the first laboratory was founded by William Wundt, right? So he was considered as the first psychologist as well, often considered the father of psychology. Wundt was the first person to refer to himself as a psychologist and wrote the first textbooks of psychology, that was Principles of Physiological Psychology. The first book of psychology ever written was Principles of Physiological Psychology. And who was the founder of the lab? Wilhelm Wundt was the founder of the first laboratory that was exclusively meant for the experimental study in the field of psychology. So, this was all about the early roots of psychology, how and why psychology emerged as a separate discipline in the 19th century, what were the factors behind why it got separated from philosophy, why is it so, what were the reasons. So, this was the background of psychology, and it was all about the historical perspective. So, thank you so much.